Hey everyone, welcome back to the deep dive. We're all about getting into those topics you really want to understand, but quickly, right? No one wants to wade through tons of information overload. We want to get to the good stuff, those aha moments that really make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. And, sometimes a single story or idea can be like a key that unlocks a whole new way of thinking.
Totally. And that's kind of what we're looking at today. Remember that YouTube transcript you sent in? Danielle Pulu's This One Bible Story Made Me a Millionaire.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Pretty bold claim, right?
It definitely grabs your attention. So she says understanding this one Bible story, the parable of the talents from Matthew 25, totally transformed her finances. Like she went from minimum wage to, as she calls it, miraculous abundance.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, so our mission in this deep dive is to break down what she's saying. Like, what are the big ideas she's pulling out of this parable, and how do they apply to, well, all of us, really? Not just about getting rich, but about gaining knowledge and hopefully having a few aha moments along the way, right?
Sounds good to me. Let's dive in.
All right, so the first thing Danielle really emphasizes is this idea that all money ultimately is God's money.
Right, and that gets into the concept of stewardship. We're not really owners, more like managers of what we've been given.
Exactly. She quotes the parable where it talks about the master entrusting his property to his servants. And she argues that if we truly believe this, it changes how we think about everything, like how we spend, how we use credit, even how we think about debt.
Yeah. Makes you think twice about that impulse purchase, doesn't it?
Right. It really makes you stop and think. She uses this great image of eating your seed versus planting it and letting it grow.
Oh, I like that. So are we using up what we have for immediate gratification, or are we investing it in something bigger, something with the potential to multiply?
Exactly. Okay, now the next big point she makes is that in the parable, everyone starts with a different amount, and she sees that as intentional. Not everyone's going to have the same resources or opportunities, and that's okay.
Yeah, she says it's not about trying to create some sort of artificial equality. It's about recognizing that we each have our own unique path, our own potential to develop.
She uses this analogy of different animals, like a bird is designed to fly, a fish to swim, a lion to hunt on land. They all have their own strengths, right?
Right, and you wouldn't expect a fish to climb a tree or a bird to burrow underground. It's about focusing on what you're good at, where your strengths lie.
Exactly. And she has this prayer, show me and help me to find, through testing and taking risk, what you have created me to do and to excel in.
That's about discovering your purpose, right? Not just sitting around waiting for it to fall in your lap.
Absolutely. It's about actively seeking out what you're meant to do, even if it means stepping outside your comfort zone.
Okay, so now she gets into how to multiply what you've been given. The parable talks about trading and investments, but it's not specific.
And Danielle says that's actually a really important point. There's no one right way to do it. What works for one person might not work for another. Right, so it's not about following some rigid formula or jumping on the latest trend. The key, she says, is faithfulness. It's about taking action, being responsible with what you have, whatever that looks like for you.
Whether it's a traditional job, starting a business, investing in real estate, whatever it is, it's about being a good steward.
And she also talks about the importance of taking risks, not just playing it safe all the time. You can't really grow if you're not willing to step outside your comfort zone, right?
Yeah, she says playing it too safe can actually lead to stagnation. You got to be willing to push boundaries a little bit, experiment.
Okay, and this leads into her next big point, fear. She focuses on that third servant in the parable, the one who buries his talent out of fear.
Yeah, that's a powerful image. The one who has the least to lose is often the most afraid to do anything at all.
It's like that saying, a closed hand cannot receive. If you're holding on to what you have so tightly out of fear, how can anything new come in?
So it's about shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset.
Exactly. When you believe in abundance, you're more open to opportunity, more willing to take risks, and ultimately, more likely to grow.
Okay, but let's be real. Sometimes consequences, whether good or bad, take time to show up. It's like you might not see the effects of eating unhealthy food right away, but they'll catch up to you eventually.
Right. She encourages us to think long term. Like, what do we want our lives to look like in 5, 10, 20 years? What kind of regrets do we want to avoid?
And she doesn't shy away from the tough stuff either. She talks about the potential consequences of not being financially prepared, the stress it can put on relationships, even that sense of accountability we have to God.
Right. It's about taking responsibility for the choices we make today and how they shape our future.
Now, the flip side of that is that being faithful, being responsible, leads to greater capacity.
Yes. She quotes the master in the parable saying, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things."
So the more you prove yourself, the more you're entrusted with.
And this can apply to everything, not just money. Your skills, your knowledge, your influence, everything.
It's like, have you mastered what you're currently responsible for before asking for more?
Right. It's about proving yourself in your current situation. And she makes this really interesting point. Having resources isn't just a blessing, it's a test. She even says that someone earning over $30,000 a year is in the top 1% globally.
Wow, that puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
It really does. So she says it's not about everyone achieving the same results, but about it being faithful with what you have, whatever that is.
It's about focusing on your own growth, not comparing yourself to others.
Exactly. And she says this principle of multiplication applies to everything: your faith, your wisdom, even your joy and peace.
It's about expanding in all areas of life, not just accumulating more stuff.
Okay. Then she goes into the third servant statement, "Master, I knew you to be a hard man." And she says this reveals a misunderstanding of God's character.
Yeah, she's saying our perception of the authority figure, whether it's God or someone else, really influences our actions.
Right. If we see them as harsh or unforgiving, we're going to be afraid to act. So she challenges us to examine our beliefs. Are we holding on to a skewed view of what's expected of us?
It's not about being perfect. It's about taking action, even if it's imperfect, and trusting that we'll learn and grow along the way.
And she says even our failures can lead to unexpected positive outcomes.
Yeah, it's about reframing failure as a learning opportunity, not the end of the world.
Now she gets pretty blunt here. Doing nothing is actually worse than trying and failing. The master in the parable is angry at the third servant not for losing money, but for doing absolutely nothing.
Right, not even putting the money in a bank to earn a little interest. It's the complete lack of effort that's the problem.
So even imperfect action is better than no action at all. And it's not just about the action itself, but the intention behind it.
Yeah, the third servant knew what he should do, but he chose not to. It's about taking responsibility.
And she emphasizes that the principle at work here is multiplication, not just maintaining what you have. Stagnation is a form of decline.
Wow, that's a powerful way to put it. You're either growing or you're shrinking. There's no in between.
Okay, then she gets into this principle of transfer. The master takes the one talent from the unfaithful servant and gives it to the one who has 10.
So resources flow to those who are using them wisely, who are multiplying what they've been given.
She even addresses the saying, "the rich get richer and the poor get poorer," saying that it's often a result of how people manage what they have.
Right. Regardless of the starting point, it's about stewardship.
And she reminds us that God is patient, but there's also a point where resources can be taken away and given to someone else who will use them.
It's a call to action, right? Don't wait until it's too late.
Exactly. Then she talks about the difference between an abundance mindset and a scarcity mindset. Believing in abundance creates more opportunity, while scarcity and fear lead to loss.
It's like if you believe there's not enough to go around, you're going to be afraid to take risks, to share, to invest.
And that can actually cause you to miss out on opportunities that are right in front of you.
Yeah, you're so focused on protecting what you have that you can't see the potential for growth.
Finally, she talks about the consequence for the unfaithful servant being cast into outer darkness. The real failure wasn't losing money, it was doing nothing with what he had been given.
It all comes back to that idea of stewardship. It's not enough to just hold on to what you have to do something with it.
And she reminds us that this parable isn't just about money, it's about everything. Our skills, our knowledge, our influence, our relationships, everything.
So it's about taking action, being faithful, and multiplying what we've been given in all areas of life.
That's a great summary. So thinking about what we've discussed, what really stands out to you? Any big aha moments?
You know, what really hits me is that idea of stagnation being a form of decline. It's so easy to get comfortable, to just coast along, but that's not really living, is it?
Totally. And for me, it's that reminder that even our failures can be valuable if we learn from them. It takes the pressure off needing to be perfect all the time.
Yeah, that's huge. So for you listening, think about this. Is there something in your life right now that you're burying? A skill, a talent, an opportunity? What's one small step you can take this week to start multiplying it?
That's a great question. And remember, it doesn't have to be some big dramatic leap. Just one small step in the right direction can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it's given you some food for thought, some new perspectives to explore.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep